Electricast.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now, this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you. I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or Whatever Movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host Iris, and I'm here with my older brother,
Wesley.
Today we're talking a movie from 2025, Norway's Best Picture Golden Globe nominee,
Sentimental Value of a Woman. Ready for the proke?
Go.
Did you ever hear from our cousins that maybe Grandma was a little bit intolerant?
Grandma Haru?
Yes. So
all old people are kind of racist.
Okay,
right?
But is that a pass? Do they get a pass?
No, maybe like in private amongst their families or something like that. But people don't get passes for racism.
I've recently become fascinated with this idea, maybe you've heard of it, of sanpaku eyes.
Yeah, apparently in Japanese tradition, if a person's irises, the colored part of their eyes, if there's significant white eyeball, that's called sanpaku eyes, which denotes the evil within.
Right. It means 3 whites, and there's whites on either side of their eye and then underneath the iris. And supposedly people with sanpaku eyes have issues or are prone to emotional instability. Maybe?
You sent me this picture before I watched the finale episode of Stranger Things, and I was like, well, of course Henry has sanpaku eyes.
Jamie Campbell
of
Bowers. Okay.
Because he's evil incarnate.
Because everyone has big eyes in Sentimental Value. So are any of these sanpaku eyes? But the reason for my proke is I realized that in studying the Japanese phenomenon of sanpaku eyes, in none of the pictures to find when I Googled sanpaku eyes, were any of them Japanese. Is it possible for a Japanese person to have sanpaku eyes?
Wow. So basically, by virtue of their physiognomy or physiology, people of Asian descent cannot have sanpaku eyes?
It's a perception of others, of the wide eyes. Sanpaku eyes came to prominence because of, unfortunately, the late, great Rob Reiner. And his son, accused of the murder of his parents, Rob Reiner, and his wife, Michelle, has sanpaku eyes. And no one is the king of generational trauma and acting out, family acting out, than Rob Reiner, unfortunately. You saw Throw Mama from the Train, right?
Been a long time.
Rob Reiner's in that movie. He says, as the agent manager to Billy Crystal's character, he says, go to Mexico, write your little heart out, andale arriba, because he had just signed his wife, who had stolen his book. Billy Crystal's book was stolen. But Rob Reiner says, I represent writers, not artists. You go be an artist in Mexico. And then there was another Rob Reiner directed movie that you didn't see because you don't watch movies, called The Story of Us, with Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer. And in that movie, Bruce Willis approaches, it was Paul Reiser, where he's like, he's struggling as a writer to find his footing. And he's like, I'm going to write a book about my grandma. She was incredible. She was, 4 foot tall and lived through the Nazi occupation and raised 5 kids and somehow managed to carve out this life. It's a real story of heroism. And Paul Reiser's like, nobody wants to read that, dude. Like, go out and look out there and see all these people. They have a precious amount of time. And that little time that they have that they're going to spend reading is not going to be about your grandma. You've got to find a thing. It doesn't matter, is the point. I don't know if the people...
What is the point? Wait, what's the point about sentimental value?
I don't know if these people have sanpaku eyes, but Nora in particular is hugely damaged. and has huge eyes. It doesn't matter what you write, what you think is important. It doesn't matter how you feel about, oh, I wonder what the history is of this house and my kids' place in it and my place in it and my mother's place in it. You know, she had a tougher time in Joachim Trier's house that was the center of this movie. The writer-director, his house, real house, went up for sale. And he was like, oh, there's so much history in this house. Nobody cares. If you're a terrible father, like Stellan Skarsgård, or at least in the eyes of your children, who are clearly damaged, they're not saying this for money or something. Hey, you owe me because you were never around. They're seriously mucked up. In his absence, they're struggling. She has crippling stage fright. She's boning the married dude. She's acting out while acting. And then her father comes along with this personal project, and he wants to film it in the family home. And I was kind of worried that she was going to snap and she was going to kill him or kill herself like her grandmother did, Sampaku Eyes style, Rob Reiner style. It doesn't matter. Sentimental value is about a man who's using his art or wants to use his art as a means of reconnecting his family, because the artifice is going to stand in for his real emotional unavailability. He's going to create the family. He's going to bring his real family together by means of the art that he is creating about his family to lure his daughter in.
So the point is sentimental value doesn't matter?
The dad's, Stellan Skarsgård's motivation doesn't matter, is not enough. This is a story that I want to tell about us and about your grandmother. You should be in it. And hopefully that will mend our relationship. I want my grandson to be in it too. Is not enough.
It doesn't make up for him being a bad dad?
Right. And Nora's inability to find herself or to find her purpose or have some catharsis through her acting should be evidence of the idea that her dad coming to her with a script is not enough. She doesn't even bother to read it. Doesn't want to read it, doesn't want to have anything to do with him or what comes out of his punk-ass dad brain.
Okay, well, I'm glad we're getting right to it, but I think you got sentimental value wrong.
Oh, no, I'm building up to it.
All right.
We were with Nora pretty much the whole time. Kelly Ray had this weird facial blindness thing where she couldn't tell the sisters apart. And I'm like, they could not be more obviously different.
We do have a protagonist shift about halfway through the film, though. We kind of move from Nora to Agnes when she goes on her journey of discovery.
Right.
To understand her grandmother.
And that is what we needed to bring Nora around ultimately. But we're so clearly with Nora, I don't think we were ever supposed to be on Stellan Skarsgård's side.
So you're saying that Stellan Skarsgård's character, Gustav Borg, is not redeemed in sentimental value? What he does and the action of making the film together as a family is not redemptive?
It is his method of dealing, justifying his catharsis. It is not hers, or it should not be hers. And I don't think I guess he got what he wanted, but what he wanted was to make the movie, was not to be like a big happy family. We could maybe all live in this house together and make art together, or make art together in this house as was originally intended.
This is the interesting thing about the Gustav Borg character. He was both nominated and won the Golden Globe. I don't think the Gustav character changes in sentimental value, even though it seems like there's the potential for maybe one day there being a repairing of the relationship between him and his daughters. We're meant in this film to consider, is Gustav just an opportunist who wants to use his family to further his fame? And or is Gustav's character attempting to use this film as a means of healing his relationship with his daughter and his family? I don't think it's either of those things. I think that the Gustav character kind of remains consistent, but his arc or evolution is how we perceive him, how I perceived him throughout this film. My kind of revelation is that I questioned, throughout his motivations, that he's an artist that makes art for art's sake because he has his own thing that he needs to feed for himself, whereas all along, he was an artist who made art for life's sake, and that his story does bring his daughters back to life in a way, even if that maybe wasn't his intention. He doesn't really change as a character. He's just kind of misunderstood, which doesn't mean we should give him a pass. And he's definitely flawed because they all kind of are. But he is doing what he's doing, and the daughters, the family, is just kind of coming around to understanding who he is and maybe learning to accept that for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, they have their arcs. He is more like a core, an emotional core that has his layers stripped away. He comes home, and then he's kind of in the same place, but more and more gets revealed. He's not the coming home guy who can throw his weight around, especially with his family. His notoriety doesn't mean anything. This was kind of lost in Swedish translation, where Bob is a big deal and Borg is a big deal, but not so much of a big deal to where they can't be kind of laid bare to where by the end, he's drunk and staggering and giving the house the middle finger, and all his protective layers have been peeled away, so he nearly freezes to death in the snow. He's supposed to be the big cheese and daddy's coming home and he expects us to conform. Well, I'm not going to do that. I don't think I can do that. But he is also having a hard time and his family doesn't respect him. He's got the hanger-on in Elle Fanning, and how they didn't make out or him try to bone her, I have no idea. Probably because I associate his character with the Gerald Lambeau character in Good Will Hunting, where he's lascivious. But he also has real trouble getting financing for his movie. As much as he's like, this is the thing, and what I put out is gold, and it will repair my family, and it will keep me in high standing. He was also having a lot of trouble getting financing, and Netflix, he wasn't happy with that arrangement. I think it was clear that they stuck him like the pole in the center of this movie, the flagpole, the totem, the thing, like he's the center of the movie and everyone else is in orbit around him with their own trajectories.
He is setting the central tone of sentimental value because really in many ways all of the characters' journeys are about defying our expectations of them. We expect the Rachel Kemp, Elle Fanning character to be, like a vacuous star, someone who's just chasing fame and sees mounting Borg's film as being a means to legitimize herself after her recent cinematic failure. And really, she is a good person. She does the right thing. She does want to do right by her craft and by this project. And similarly, the Nora character, who we perceive as being broken, perhaps beyond repair, gives us that hope, I think, that makes this ultimately not a tragedy at the end of the film. This is an interesting, thought-provoking film because of how these characters defy our expectations, except for maybe Agnes, who I kind of predicted to be the strong character, the glue that's holding this very tenuous, broken vase together. Her journey had to be that she stood up to her father, but also she kind of maintains her role in the family of trying to keep it together.
Or is she more the one-eyed king, the least damaged, and thus is the strongest and the most able to bring everyone together?
Did you say the one-eyed king?
Yeah, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Come on, keep up.
I like that.
Were their arcs and motivations realistic? Elle Fanning approached him as a foreign director that she loved. Oh, I loved your films, and she's the American. In this case, in this movie, she is the foreigner. But she reveres him for his artistry, whereas she is an up-and-coming actress who is thrilled to have the role that his daughter doesn't want, to be the lead actress in one of her heroes' films. In real life, does a Hollywood starlet say, this film is too important personally for me to fill the role of your daughter, and thus in good conscience, I can no longer be a part of it? It's obvious that your real life is more important than me starring in this film. And so I'm bowing out. I want to do what's best for you. Not what she's saying, but kind of what was implied.
It wasn't all altruistic. Rachel Kemp also couldn't find the character.
Yeah.
Whatever the character's name was in the film was slipping through her fingers. So it was kind of the right thing for her to do all around. That was good people do that. And some Hollywood actors are good people and some maybe are not. But the point was that of the Hollywood actor set, she was of the good type. And also just structurally or dynamically, she is what allowed us to see that Gustav Borg isn't all bad. He accepts her position. He's respectful of her, doesn't overstep that line that perhaps you were waiting for him to overstep in terms of coming on to her or something like that. He respects her point. He helps her with her coat on. He at least holds it together until she's left.
So what do you want?
What do I want? I want to use my degree for good. And in general.
I kind of meant like a muffin or a latte.
I want a job with a generous work-from-grocery store policy.
You are here a lot.
Debbie, please, I'm working.
I want a job that will change the world.
Ma'am, this is a drive-thru.
And some nuggets.
With LinkedIn's new AI-powered job search, you can find roles that match your unique skills so you can dare to discover more. Visit linkedin.com/jobs to learn more.
Life is hard, but finding a really great podcast makes the days go by so much easier. Hi, my name is Blue Telusma. I'm a writer, an emotional intelligence coach, and the host of Humanize with Blue Telusma, a podcast where we believe that when you humanize everyone in the room, a great conversation is almost guaranteed. Join us every week here on Electricast as me and my guest co-hosts unpack big topics and interview even bigger personalities with a sense of humor and a dash of mischief. If you're looking for a new best friend in your head, we've got you covered.
Electricast.
And we think, wow, he's not all bad. Too bad he can't be like that with his daughters.
Yeah, but he's separate. He's in a position of immense power as the head of the family, the breadwinner of the family. I guess the reason his daughters don't have to struggle with careers or whatever, they can freak out, despite a packed house. I wasn't sure she was going to go on. He's enabling them to live out their damage instead of sucking it up and being productive people, I guess.
It didn't sound like he was their sugar daddy. I mean, Agnes mentions at least twice how she and her husband are struggling financially. I wish, I was hoping he would sell the house so we could get a little money. She mentions their financial trouble. Nora doesn't seem to worry or want because she seems to live a pretty... her apartment was pretty humble for what it seemed like a high-profile actor. It didn't seem like he was floating, either of them.
I mean, kind of, though.
Really? I mean, maybe they grew up with privilege and they, instead of having a father, and maybe they have some resentment that they're not maintaining a quality of life that they grew up with.
Okay. I'm looking at this from Joachim Trier's his perspective, writer, director. Borg as a character could be played, in my humble opinion, by no one other than Stellan Skarsgård, so that Elle Fanning would be like his biggest fan or whatever. This was a personal film that wasn't as real. I mean, I don't know. We don't know anything about family drama or generational trauma, right? We're good.
We don't?
We're all good.
What? That's the whole point of sentimental value, is that it's universally relatable.
I suppose.
Who is not effed up because of their parents?
Kinda, yeah. The message that the writer-director is trying to convey is his prominence, his fame, his relevance, his importance to other people doesn't translate to family. I mean, how many celebrities have we heard about who are like, Dad, you're not funny, or are embarrassed or refuse to watch their parents' movies because they're not cool? I think Emily Blunt talked a lot about how her kids are disdainful of that kind of stuff. And, my kids don't really watch my movies. And they're more embarrassed when you reach a level of not just working actor where, your dad is famous, but your dad is the Stellan Skarsgård or whatever. It comes as more of a shadow than a light on your childhood.
I was thinking about this because for high-profile artists, there's not a lot of fan moments. It's not like he's being stopped and asked for an autograph. Nora seems to come and go as she pleases without being harassed by people. She's even left kind of hanging in the lobby after her own show. Do fans just behave differently in Northern Europe?
No. Also, Gustav Borg is not Stellan Skarsgård. He's not that level of international fame. He's a dude that some people loved, who is a filmmaker, but who can't get the movie that he wants to make, his personal family drama, on his own because Netflix is being a bud about it. But like anybody who has a strong creative vision, he has dedicated fans. And the Rachel Kemp character, Elle Fanning, is one of those fans.
A newly won fan, she becomes a fan at his retrospective.
She was a fan before that, right? She was just all googly-eyed.
So.
She was like, oh, you're the daughter. Oh, my God. She was hands down a fan beforehand because so much did she love his work that when she met Agnes, she was like beside herself with fandom.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think this is the point that you're trying to make, but my understanding is that she was at the screening where they screened his most beloved film. And the way she talked about it on the beach, it was the first time she had seen it, and it changed her.
Okay.
But she's young and has filmic blind spots like you because you don't watch movies.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, not the young part. Not the young part, though.
Okay, you can only go so far, though. No, you got to watch what you say. Nora and Agnes had lived with their dad the whole life. They don't care that he's this famous guy or whatever. And I think this was more Joachim Trier's more personal kind of reflection about what happens insularly among a family of filmmakers when people know them for their art. This wasn't about fans or whatever, or the intrusion of fans on the lives of these people. This is apart from that in Nora and Agnes quietly trying to suppress their own trauma, stick together as sisters, and find a way to confront or coexist with their dad, who wanted to bring all that art and all of the distraction that kept him out of their childhood lives into their lives in a very personal family drama way, because he decided the story of his mother needed to be told. Agnes is the least damaged and actually deigns to read what he tried to put in front of Nora. She was the one in his film, but Nora is the actress, and thus maybe the biggest get for Gustav Borg that wanted, he wanted his actor daughter, who's the most estranged, to be brought into his fold in their house through their previous house.
Well, that's the cynical Nora Borg perspective on the film, who refuses to read the screenplay. And maybe that might have been part of his motivation, but I think that he's not as calculated as maybe his cynical daughters or Nora seems to think.
I know, I agree. He seems like the big baddie, but he's really floundering probably because he understands on some level the mistake he made. He's trying to make amends by making Nora the mother character with whom he feels he has unfinished stuff that he actually has the ability to address in a convoluted, roundabout way. And that's the point of the story, the turning point, the thing that gets her on board. Agnes finally reads the thing. This is not about grandma. I think it's about you. This is something personal and not just like you're my family and I want you in this movie about my family, about my mother who you didn't really know. This is about you and him trying to connect with you. You should read it. And she's like, oh, okay. And the next thing we see, she's standing in for the grandma. She's in a contemporary setting. And what's his name? The little kid is her son and not Agnes's son. And then we go into the next room where her dad is waiting, Borg, and they have that super awkward. Maybe it's not awkward because this is the closest they've come to literally and figuratively embracing each other in adulthood. You know what I mean? They kind of stand there and he's got his hands in his pockets and he's the director or whatever. But in that moment, they're still director and actor. And it's not like they're going to hug in between takes, dad or otherwise, right? They're keeping it professional. But did you note that when he finally gets Nora on board and they're doing the film about grandma in which she is grandma, that they're not in the house as he originally pictured? They're on the facade. They're on the soundstage masquerading as their house, which we pulled back in wide frame to reveal. He didn't get what he wanted. Theirs is not a comfy, cozy family unit filming in their family home. There's still a level of artifice and removal.
There's removal for sure, and their work is the medium through which these two can actually communicate. But that's how we move forward in this story of sentimental value. She says at the beginning, she says to Elle Fanning, we can't communicate. And yet, through their art, they have a form of communication. She says to him at the family event, you don't know us. And what he basically proves through his screenplay is that he may not know his daughter, but he understands her. And he intuits things about her that are very real. And that's a way of knowing and being known. You know, just really wonderful ways that this film pays off by telling the story of the film within the film.
Is it enough? Does he now have an open door for reconciliation? Or is it just fitting that in Gustav Borg's big movie that he finally secures funding for, his real daughter, just like the parallel where his other daughter played the girl in one of his earlier movies, his real daughter plays the grandmother character. Look, this is like a homespun family drama. And behind the scenes, it brought the Borg family back together, the Borg collective. You don't know, because that was a Star Trek reference and you don't watch TV.
Who watches Star Trek?
The Sneak. The Sneak.
That's why she doesn't like I Love Lucy. This makes me think, too, that Rachel Kemp really did something, is such a good person, because she also really did something for the family. She stepped aside to make room.
She didn't know.
For Nora.
She didn't know that Nora was going to feel that. She was hosing him and was sad. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to make you mad or make you sad or disappointed in me. She didn't know. That's why I'm saying this is the convenience of the writer-director making a sympathetic American in this case. And maybe this was like The Get, where if you're a Swedish film, you get Elle Fanning. And people in America like Elle Fanning. That will bring this to American audiences. It was just the convenience of Joachim Trier, knowing that in the end, his little family drama was going to come back together as a family for a drama.
It's very, very meta. The only thing that was convenient about the Elle Fanning casting was that she looks like the actor Renata Reinsve.
Unless they're standing together in a room talking where the actual daughter is a foot taller than Elle Fanning.
When they're sitting in the theater seats, you can't tell the difference between the two of them. They have the same hair, the same moon-shaped faces, the same eyes.
Who are you, Kelly Ray? You couldn't tell them apart?
I was very struck by when she was looking at the pictures of her. I was like, whoa! Because that's the first time we see her in the dyed hair, and then they're sitting next to each other in the auditorium. And yeah, I thought it was great casting.
Is it going to be okay where she's going to be like, oh, you used your art that kept you away and out of the house and away from the family? You used your art to tell a story about the family and bring it back together. That's so great, Dad.
Okay. They can't change the past. This movie is not about leaps and bounds. This is a movie about baby steps toward acceptance and reconciliation in a family. I again don't know what's kind of more universal about that. Sentimental value doesn't work for you because it's a deeply resonant film and you're damaged enough that you can't let it in.
I'm saying no one wants to hear a story about Joachim Trier's family home.
Stop doing
about
that.
His 4-foot grandma who had 5 kids.
It's not about that. That may have been the genesis of it, but that's not what this movie is about.
It's about the father worming his way back into and I wonder, all of Nora's trauma, all of her anxiety, all of her issues and kind of and kind of keeping her relationship at arm's length because the dude she's boning is married, all that is a result of trauma experienced by her absentee father, right?
She can take some responsibility for it.
Is it cathartic? Is it helpful for him to come back into her life this way? Does he get a pass? Is it enough?
He doesn't get a pass. Nothing will ever be enough to change the past because the past can't be changed.
Does Gustav Borg's movie, Dead Grandma Bedroom, resonate with audiences because it was a family drama made by the Borgs about a real person featuring real Borgs?
I can't speak for the fictional people in Sentimental Value, but I would imagine that his film would work like Sentimental Value works because it's universal themes.
It worked because it was emotionally resonant, because I could feel the generational trauma because I didn't want to like him. Didn't like him, except he's Stellan Skarsgård and the whole world likes him and you gotta like him. I didn't trust that Elle Fanning was doing the right thing, that she was doing the realistic thing. It was making excuses for the dude because you feel like you got to make excuses and allowances for someone as grand as Gustav Borg, but it still made me feel a little bit icky, kind of like the Nora character. I'm here, we're doing it, I'm emotionally invested, but that doesn't make everything all right. In that way, Sentimental Value was really effective as a movie.
At least tell me that the sibling relationship was resonant.
I don't know. I don't know what it is to be all adoring of my sister.
You don't know what that's like? I know what it's like to be thankful for my brother,
Aw,
for my older sibling.
They didn't have to have the same lives. They didn't have to, the one could defy the other and not stand in solidarity and actually go and read Dad's thing. And the other one was, floundering even though her sister was seemingly so stable. And how is it that you didn't get as messed up as I am? Or whatever. And she's like, I'm messed up, dude. That felt real.
Who's the messed up one in our family, me or you?
Oh, no, we both definitely have our traumas. Success presenting, you're the more like, oh, I have a nice home and a family and everything is great on the surface. You're all honked up, dude. You're all honked up and I am honked up too. We manifest it in different ways. Do you want to come over and we can cuddle and hug on the bed for a while? Is that realistic?
I can say thank you for being there.
Aw,
you didn't wash my hair, but
a friend.
But you're the one who took me to the doctor when I was sick, and you're the one that hugged me when my boyfriend broke up with me, and you're the one who was there for me when Mom and Dad were stoned and absentee.
I blocked all that out. Man, is there any hope for us? What's going to bring the family together? Is it going to be Or Whatever Movies podcast and talking about our differences and how we approached sentimental value?
I'm just saying, thank you. And Sentimental Value worked on a very profound level for me, and I think deserves the accolades that it's already received, and that it will likely continue to receive this award season at orwhatevermovies.com and beyond.
I watched it as the Japanese do, through not Sampaku eyes.
And that's our discussion on Sentimental Value. Thank you for listening, and aren't you going to say something snarky?
R.I.P. Rob Reiner.
Wow. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Electricast.
Welcome to the Candle Power Hour. Come with us backstage, behind the scenes of show business spanning over 4 decades and bringing you the experiences that can only be told by the people who were there.
Our guests are from the A-list, the F-list, and everyone in between. Get set for some of the most insane, hilarious, and inspiring stories you will ever hear.
I'm Mercury.
And I'm Diego.
Your host for the Candle Power Hour.
Hi, I'm Lessa Gadet, host of Her Extraordinary Life by Design podcast, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I speak with women from all over the world about what they do and how they are passionately pursuing their dreams and creating meaningful impacts on their communities. So come join us and learn about all there is to learn about these extraordinary women.
Electricast.